Welcome back. This is Week in One, a wrap of the top stories of the past week now, and it was a big week for our relations with Palestine. President Jacob Zuma has urged Israel to prove its commitment to peace. He was speaking during the first official state visit of Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. Zuma reaffirmed South Africa's commitment to a two-state solution with Palestinians and Israelis living side by side.
South Africa's hosting of Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas comes at a time when European countries are moving towards recognizing Palestine. The effort is to try and jumpstart the stalled peace process. Palestine has all the trappings of a state, a national anthem, a flag and a cabinet. The only thing missing is international recognition. Talks with Israel have broken down, and now there is a proposed bill that would recognize Israel as a Jewish state. This would effectively disregard the rights of 20% of the non-Jewish population and jeopardize any claim Palestinians might have on occupied land in Israel.
We need to ask this question to the Israeli people and the Israeli government, and what this new bill has for peace and the consequences thereof.
This is something Zuma believes also shows a lack of commitment from Israel.
I don't think that's how you would want global relations to be conducted, because you want to bring harmony and stability in the world.
Zuma went on to say that he is confident the people of Palestine will prevail, with South Africa playing a more active role in helping them achieve their aspiration. Mark Klusner, Pretoria.
Let's head to the courts now in the case of the pop star and get this, the puppet. Steve Hofmeyr's gag order against ventriloquist Conrad Koch and his puppet Chester Missing has been overturned, and the singer has been ordered to pay a punishing legal cost bill. The Randburg Magistrates Court has slammed the musician for seeking an order that would allow him to express seemingly racist views, this while blocking any criticism of those views. The court says it's apparent that Hofmeyr was seeking to justify the imposition of the apartheid regime.
Moments after Chester Missing was finally allowed to speak his mind about Steve Hofmeyr.
And the man of the day. So why did Steve not come? Is he scared of facing his own racism, sir? Why didn't he come?
Well, no,
he's scared of his own racism.
He's actually...
You're molesting me.
You're
hurting my
speak
puppet.
to you? Okay. Well, he's in Cape... Steve is actually
So
in
how
Cape
much
Town.
do you actually like black people? Do you hate them all or just some of them?
We don't hate any black people, but
Really?
you
They
obviously
deserve
are...
apartheid. That is a...
The court found that Hofmeyr and his representative Dan Ruert used laws designed to protect victims of abuse to stop Missing from taking the singer on about some of his tweets. It was Hofmeyr's statement that, quote, blacks were the architects of apartheid, unquote, that prompted Koch and his puppet persona to question why the musician's sponsors would want to be associated with a racist. Ruert said Hofmeyr was not amused at being called a racist. He further described the singer's detractors as, quote, anti-racists, who he said cherry-picked things that the singer said to paint him in the worst possible light. This, of course, came just hours after Hofmeyr tweeted in Afrikaans that those who were against apartheid in its entirety were for the rape of more white women. The magistrate says that by posting racially provocative tweets, Hofmeyr exposed himself to criticism.
The magistrate, as he said, accepted that Steve Hofmeyr's application and Dan Ruert's application was vexatious and was unreasonably brought.
So, now that Koch and Missing can tweet about Hofmeyr again, what do they want to say?
I want to know why so cowardly he didn't come to court himself to face his allegations. I want to know why he abused the law that was meant to fight for gender justice primarily.
Hofmeyr says he accepts the court's judgment, but also suggested in a tweet that he regarded the ruling as the end of freedom of expression. Karen Morn, Johannesburg.
To Cape Town now, and the very real possibility that the honeymoon murder trial will be thrown out of court. On Monday and Tuesday this week, the defence and prosecution argued for and against acquitting British businessman Shrien Dewani for the murder of his bride Annie in 2010. Dewani's legal team claims the state's evidence is littered with improbabilities and inconsistencies. They've branded the state's star witness, shuttle driver Zola Tongo, as a liar. But the state says it's critical for the trial to continue, arguing that Dewani's version of events has not yet been tested in court.
It's high noon for prosecutors who are out to nail Shrien Dewani. They're convinced he orchestrated the murder of his wife while on honeymoon in Cape Town 4 years ago. But Dewani's lawyers claim the state hasn't presented any concrete evidence against him. State prosecutor Adrian Mapp believes otherwise. Mapp says Dewani's version of events cannot be ignored and needs to be tested in court. Dewani has claimed Annie wanted to see township nightlife, resulting in a trip to Guguletu. But Mapp still wants to question the coincidence of two hitmen waiting to pounce at the exact time and place the Dewanis went to the township. Mapp told the court that Dewani was always part of the conspiracy to have his wife killed, despite inconsistencies in the testimonies of key witnesses. Mapp argues that the plot was amateurish and not the work of an A-team of professional conspirators.
Judge Jeanette Traverso will now take the next 2 weeks to consider both arguments and come to a verdict. If she grants the discharge, Shrien Dewani will be a free man. The state cannot appeal and he cannot be retried. Leanne Jansen at the Western Cape High Court.
Legal experts say the 2-week break in proceedings in the Dewani trial could be an indication that Judge Traverso is seriously considering the defence's call for a dismissal of the case. We'll have to wait and see. And to other legal matters now, and this week in Joburg saw the inquest into whether President Jacob Zuma's son is criminally liable in the death of a woman. Roads agency SANRAL was asked to provide information that could have proved whether Zuma was speeding on the night he crashed into a taxi. The data, which relates to the malfunctioning of at least one gantry, is now casting doubt over the accuracy of the entire system and, by extension, e-toll bills. ENCA has approached SANRAL for comment, but the agency has yet to respond.
Evidence leader Yusuf Baba was hoping to show the president's son may have been speeding before he ploughed into a taxi on a rainy night in February. But the information roads agency SANRAL supplied to the court is disturbing. It suggests major inaccuracies in recording the journeys taken by Duduzane Zuma and taxi driver Jabu Dlamini. Baba says the data provided by SANRAL is irreconcilable and inconsistent with the evidence already led in the inquest into the death of crash victim Phumzile Dube. It shows, for instance, that Zuma's Porsche went through a gantry half an hour after the accident had taken place, when his car was parked on the side of the road. It also fails to reveal that Dlamini drove through a gantry just before Rivonia, a gantry that he testified that he'd gone through. With no hard evidence that Zuma was speeding, the state is now arguing that, at the very least, he should have been driving slower that night. Meanwhile, SANRAL may now have an even harder time assuring motorists that their e-tolls bills are accurate. It would be ironic indeed if an inquest involving President Zuma's son led to more serious questions about this most controversial of tolling systems. Karen Morn, Johannesburg.
Still ahead here on Week in One, the 16 Days of Activism campaign against the abuse of women and children got underway this week, and also the tragic death of Australian cricketer Phil Hughes put sports safety in the spotlight.